Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Officially half the work week in the rearview mirror. Working towards the weekend. Fired up here with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. JD Pickell in 15 minutes. My latest SEC football power rankings coming your way in half an hour. I guess it's time to start looking forward to LSU and Texas A&M, right? Have not done a lot of that this week. Really haven't done any of it this week. Too much to unpack on Monday from the Vanderbilt game and news on the injury front yesterday and then again today. And so then we got Ashton Stamps leaving the team today, and we just haven't gotten to previewing LSU and A&M. So we kind of start that in earnest today and right here. There is one thing that concerns me the most about this game from an LSU perspective, and it's Texas A&M pass rush. And that's not because I think Texas A&M's pass rush is their strength, although it is very good. I think that all of a sudden now LSU's pass blocking becomes kind of vital here to hanging in this game. I say that because of this. Do you think LSU is going to show up and really run the ball right at Texas A&M? Like, I don't think so. That would surprise me. They ran it better against South Carolina. They ran it better against Vanderbilt at times. Harlan Berry showed some things. You've seen some improvement in the running game, but it's not a dominant rushing attack. LSU's best opportunity to move the ball and to improve offensively, which I've said for weeks now, is throwing the football. It's Garrett Nussmeier throwing the ball to Xavion Thomas making plays, and Aaron Anderson getting healthier and making plays, and Trey'Dez Green being a mismatch. Those guys on the perimeter are LSU's best opportunity at improving on offense. And I look at Texas A&M, and they've got statistically a pretty average passing defense. They're ninth in the SEC, 200 yards a game. They've given up 11 touchdowns through the air. As far as completion percentage goes, A&M's middle of the road at 7th. They're allowing 60% completion. It's not great. It's not terrible. But I think it's LSU's best chance to move the ball throwing it. But as I said in the first hour, and I hold true to this, with Tyree Adams out, and he's not going to play, I don't believe LSU has an SEC tackle available. That's harsh. I don't love calling players out, but I can't watch this tape. I can't look at this Pro Football Focus grade. I can't see these highlights and not immediately look to LSU at left tackle and right tackle and go, this is a problem. And Texas A&M comes into this game 6th in the country in sacks. Cassius Howell has been awesome. He's got 7.5 sacks thus far coming off the edge. He's a terror off the edge. He leads the conference. He's ahead of Colin Simmons at Texas. He's ahead of R. Mason Thomas at Oklahoma. Like, he's been great, averaging a sack a game. And you got to deal with him. Deion Hayes on the other side, 3.5 sacks. That's more than anybody at LSU has. So those two guys have combined for 11 sacks for Texas A&M. A&M as a group, 5 sacks against Auburn, 4 sacks against Mississippi State, 3 sacks against Florida, 4 more sacks against Arkansas. They get back there. They get after it. And Jackson Arnold's a good athlete. And obviously, Taylon Green's a good athlete. DJ Lagway moves okay. Blake Shapen moves okay. Nussmeier probably the least athletic of the lot. I think Mike Elko is going to come after Garrett Nussmeier. I think he wants that ball coming out quickly. Did you watch the game in College Station last year? LSU was comfortable in the first half. Nussmeier was comfortable in the first half. He really picked Texas A&M apart. The touchdown pass he threw to Mason Taylor was gorgeous. You hit Aaron Anderson on a slant, big play. They hit on some third downs. Like, LSU looked really good throwing the ball. And then Mike Elko with that home crowd and Nick Scorton and a good defensive front, they went, all right, we're coming at you. And they started blitzing. And LSU cracked a little bit. And Nussmeier cracked. He took sacks. He made poor decisions. He made turnovers. And you got to think Mike Elko is going to look at that and go, that's the recipe. Now, Joe Sloan was there for that too and can build in some screens and can get the ball out quickly. And that's all LSU really does anyway. But ultimately, you're going to have to make some plays down the field. You're going to have to throw the ball. And Texas A&M's pass rush is really good. And I just don't have confidence that LSU can pick that up. I don't know that they can. I don't know that they can pick up blitzes, and I'm confident they can't win one-on-ones. And while this is just me talking, Garrett Nussmeier's lived this. And this is my opinion. This is not rooted in fact. Garrett's certainly not going to say this. Brian Kelly's certainly not going to say this. This is my opinion from watching games. My opinion is that Garrett Nussmeier is not confident in his offensive line, specifically the edges. And he's not standing up there and planting his back foot and ripping the ball down the field. When he stood back in that pocket with that offensive line last year, as much as they struggled to run block, they were elite at picking up blitzes and keeping him clean. And he trusted that. And for a lot of the season, he sat back there and ripped it, and he racked up 4,000 yards. And I don't think he has that trust with this group. And I certainly don't think losing his left tackle, Tyree Adams, helps with that. Certainly not when he gets into the film room to go over the tape in Nashville and sees his new left tackle getting flat-backed in a one-on-one and a huge sack in a critical spot. Like, that's just not going to inspire a lot of confidence from the LSU quarterback. So if he is gun-shy back there, that's even worse. And there are some things you can do to try to slow down the pass rush. You can run the ball by firing off the line. You can handle screens. You can help chip with the tight end or the running back. But, like, you limit yourself when you just throw short, when you just bring your running back in to protect and not out in the route, when you bring in a tight end to help protect and he's not out on the route as quickly. You're limiting what you can do offensively. Sometimes you got to help, and there are some guys in football, whether it's the college ranks or the NFL ranks, even down to the high school ranks, that you've got to deal with. But it feels like LSU's got that on both sides now. And it just paints a grim picture about LSU trying to lean on its strength and not being able to. And I think that's a scary proposition for this LSU offense to consider, like, hey, we'd like to throw it around a little bit. Hey, we can't block these guys. And you had a plan against Clemson and executed it. But ultimately, how many points did you score in that game? Not a lot. And you've shown that you can complete a lot of passes to the perimeter. You can throw that wide receiver screen time and time again, and you'll complete it, and usually you'll get 2 or 3 yards. But there's got to be more. And for more to happen, you got to pass block better. And I don't see anything that's lending itself to me believing, hey, LSU's going to make some adjustments and they're going to get better protecting the passer come Saturday against Texas A&M's 6th-ranked pass rush in the country. That's just the way that I see it at this point. So I think there are some spots in this game that I like LSU's personnel, but in LSU's greatest perceived strength on the offensive side, I see issues. Now, if they can block them, I think LSU can win down the field. That just remains to be seen, and we haven't thus far. So that's kind of your first look at LSU and Texas A&M. Kickoff a little after 6:45 on Saturday. Monitoring the weather apprehensively. Looks like some of that rain may be pushing to Sunday, which would be great. I have heard from multiple people that are not coming to this game. And I've got a fear. I thought this for a little bit, but I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm just going to lay it out there. This is fear. It's not reality yet. It is fear. It is not reality. I have a fear about Saturday. My fear is that LSU fans are cranky. My fear is that LSU fans who are cranky look at the forecast and go, I'm not going to this game. My fear is that Texas A&M, who has never won anything ever, is really excited. And they have a lot of money. And they get to the secondary market and they flood this place. And my fear is that a cranky fan base that doesn't show up, that sells tickets to Texas A&M, creates a lot of maroon in that stadium on Saturday. And my fear is that A&M gets a second half lead. And then that lead grows. And then the fans that did decide to show up in purple and gold leave. And then these folks who have never been excited about anything since I've been alive take over that stadium. That's my fear. I don't want it to become a reality. It doesn't have to become a reality. But I've talked to LSU fans who are not going. I know that Texas A&M fans are motivated. And the possibility exists that that happens. And you can say you're such a complainer, Hunt. You're such a whiner. You're such a pessimist. And you can say all these things. And I didn't say that's what's going to happen on Saturday. I just fear it. And it'll be that if that does come to pass, you can take UAB. I was there. You can take Troy. I was there. You can take the Yeldon screen. I was 15 yards from him. It'll be among the saddest times of my time in Tiger Stadium if that happens on Saturday night. If there's anybody out there in purple and gold that is thinking about selling those tickets and just going to toss them up on SeatGeek and a Houston area code shows up and you just fire away, let's try to prevent that. Ultimately, it's up to the players. They got to do it. But that fear is uncomfortable. Okay? So we'll see. Let's talk to JD Pickell about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
How often will Trash Rangers come to your business and pick up your trash? We pick up commercial trash up to 6 times a week, depending on your schedule. For more info, visit trashrangers.com today.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 5 brands on one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Latest edition of the SEC Football Power Rankings coming your way in 15 minutes. But it is that time of the week we talk to our guy, JD Pickell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. You can find him on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. Just search The Hard Count, or you can check him out right here every single Wednesday. JD, how we doing?
Doing great, brother. Like I said last week, when I hear your voice coming through my AirPods, I know football's around the corner. Great talking to you.
We're about ready to cancel football around these parts. About ready to move on to something else. This is what it feels like. Here's what we got going on down here. We got a football team that just lost to Vanderbilt that's on the brink. We got a Saints team that's 1-6. We got Joe Burrow out, Jaden Daniels out, Malik Neighbors out in the NFL. It's a tough scene down here, JD. There's not a lot of brimming positivity.
So tell me this: a win over A&M Saturday night in Baton Rouge, is that turning the tide here? Is that getting the vibes back to a stable place, or is it kind of a foregone conclusion?
For some, that would do it. The other faction would say, well, they're going to lose to Alabama anyway, so who cares? But me, I would take the win. I want the win over A&M very, very badly. But let's start with the Vanderbilt game last week. I mean, what'd you see?
I was just taken back, Hunt, as to how bad the O-line was in pass pro. Like, I think we all knew the O-line wasn't going to be phenomenal for LSU this year. My ask of them was, let's be serviceable. And the Clemson game gave me a lot of hope with how good that Clemson D-line is, or how talented that D-line is, rather than to see Vanderbilt just make Nuss's life miserable. That was the most jarring part to me, because I think a lot of people over the course of the last few weeks have rightly questioned how healthy is Nuss. He doesn't look right. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if he's got a throwing arm amputated, if he's got that much pressure from Vanderbilt coming his way. So that was jarring. I think Pavi is a stud, but, I mean, golly, it made me very concerned for LSU here the rest of the way, which is putting it in the most black and white terms possible that I know it's been probably discussed ad nauseum out there in Baton Rouge.
It has. To change like the tenor of the conversation a little bit, like, what'd you learn about Vanderbilt?
I think for Vanderbilt, like, we all knew they were good to a certain respect, but just how I said it just then, there was almost an inflection of people's voices speaking of, hey, Vanderbilt this year, huh? Or, hey, wow, Vanderbilt's kind of like, I think Vanderbilt is actually just a good football team. We can remove the qualifier of good for Vanderbilt, good for what Vanderbilt's been, good for a Vanderbilt. Like, Vanderbilt's just a team that could legitimately be a playoff team, which is wild to say given what they have been, but I think we're at that point. For Pavia, I want to make sure we highlight this. I think he's so crafty. Like, I know he gets highlighted for being a dog and for being, competitive to the nth degree and all those things, but he, at the quarterback position, you can tell he's been the undersized guy his whole life. And he operates in space so well. He feels pressure so well and kind of made a couple of crucial scrambles on plays that, quite frankly, I think LSU had dialed up correctly on the defensive side. He just was so instinctual. He was able to feel those out and make a play with his legs. So I appreciate the grittiness and the emotion and all that's a big part of it, but I think his craftiness reminds me a little bit of Jeremiah Masoli. Remember him at Oregon at Ole Miss for a point in time? Like, he's kind of that lane to me, which is a lot of fun to watch.
He was Hugh Freeze's first quarterback there in Oxford. Speaking of Oxford, Ole Miss loses to Georgia 35-43, but from the Georgia angle, like Nick at the end was winning a lot of shootouts. Kirby played defense for a while there, and now they're winning some shootouts. They did it in Knoxville and did it again against Ole Miss in Athens. How do you feel about the Dogs?
I don't know what to make of the Dogs, honestly. Like, I keep saying I am expecting this defense to get better. I've said that since the Tennessee game, and it has not gotten better. And I guess the good news for Georgia fans is you've got an offense that for the first time in a minute here is able to answer that call to action. So, like, Gunnar Stockton's been awesome. The offense has been awesome, especially when they've had to be, but it feels like they're flying a little bit close to the sun when it comes to what they've done on the defensive side. Like, they legitimately probably played poorly enough on the defensive side to be a 3-loss football team, but the traits of this Georgia team and the Gunnar Stockton answering the call to action parts of this football team have been enough to have them be in a spot where they've only lost one. So at that level, I guess I'm impressed that it's been a personality of Georgia to where they can get down and only play 2-3 quarters a game and still win.
We're sticking in the SEC. We'll get to some other things moving forward. But you look at Ole Miss and Oklahoma this weekend. Early game, 11 o'clock kickoff in Norman. Oklahoma's a 4.5-point favorite. Tough. Ole Miss back-to-back road contests against top 15 teams. You think Lane Kiffin's team answers the bell? And we'll get to the other part of this discussion after that.
I don't. I think it's a good game. I don't think they just show up and lay an egg, but I think that Oklahoma defense is just another level, man. And I'm not going to do the whole thing where we talk about Trinidad Chambliss. He played D2 last year. He's never seen a defense like this. Even if you played college football for 18 years like Diego Pavia, you haven't seen a defense like this. And so I think that's going to be something that's a little bit surprising for him to deal with. And I also think that the emergence of a run game for Oklahoma last week, while South Carolina may not be the world beater when it comes to stopping the run, I think them developing something on the ground there will serve them well and open it up for John Mateer. So I like Oklahoma to win, and I think not to parlay too much into this next part of the discussion that I feel like is maybe coming. I do wonder how weird of a week it's been if you're a football player for Ole Miss, and you see everyone on Twitter is posting stuff about Kiffin in Florida, and there's a bunch of coaching gear swaps of him in the blue and orange. Like, I wonder how much that impacts the focus for a team like that. Because clearly for Nebraska, with all the Nebraska, Matt Rule, Penn State discussion that was happening last week, did not serve the Huskers well. So I like Oklahoma in that one.
What do you think about the whole Lane, Florida situation? I'll leave it as open-ended as that.
I got a lot of thoughts here, Hunt, so I'll try and be efficient.
Lay them on me. I got time.
In coaching searches, man, doesn't it always feel like it's never the first name? It's never the first suspect. It's kind of like the same rule for murder mysteries when you're watching those movies. It's never the wife that did it for the insurance. It's always the butler. It's always the spurned, daughter or son. And, like, Kiffin to me is just so on the nose. I'm wondering if Ole Miss hasn't seen this coming from a mile away and is about to back up the freaking Brinks truck. I also wonder a little bit, like, can you get Lane Kiffin away from a spot where he has everything at his fingertips? Like, he is the man at Ole Miss. He makes all the decisions. There's alignment when it comes to NIL and portal and all that stuff. And, like, I don't know that if I'm Lane Kiffin, the way that I have this thing running right now in Oxford, I'm jumping ship to a place that seems to just, quite frankly, I don't know all the inner workings in Gainesville, but they have more hands in the pot than they do at Ole Miss. And so I wonder how much that plays in here. I also think when we talk about the way that it would look if he got to Florida, like, I think Lane Kiffin's not for everybody, and that's a beautiful thing. Saban's not for everybody. Kirby's not for everybody. I don't know if Kiffin's the same caliber of those guys, but I think the idea of committing to Lane Kiffin as your head coach is fun on paper, But so is going to a concert on a Friday night with your friends. But if you're not all the way in on that Friday night experience with your friends going to a concert of a band you haven't seen, like you get there in the first few minutes, you're like, why are we doing this? This isn't actually that fun. Same thing with Kiffin. If they have a slow start, if he's the head coach there and they're 2 and 3 through 5 weeks, it's like he's still tweeting. He's still kind of doing his own thing. He's got a persona that's easy to dislike for some folks. I don't know if I see that being the happiest marriage in the world if he were to end up in Gainesville.
3 years ago, we went through this rigmarole with Kiffin, and he was going to go to Auburn, and he didn't quiet any of it down, and his team lost like 5 of their last 6 and kind of crumbled beneath the weight of all this. Does he want to run that risk with this team and not say? I mean, just the silence a little bit is deafening. And I'm someone who doesn't care what people say in press conferences, but like, if this is not something you're interested in, don't you want to come out and say something about it instead of saying, well, I don't really talk about that and we're focused inside, and like just kind of tap dancing like he did 3 years ago?
I don't. So I didn't even see if he was asked about it in a press conference. Was he asked about it? I didn't see anything in his first one to start the week. Has he said any? Has there been someone point blank asking him about the Florida job?
Yeah, it came up on Monday, and he just kind of said, well, it's not a distraction to our guys, and we're focused on whatever. Just kind of it's the same thing he always says. Like, I'm just not really going to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the documentary on him was so interesting because it made it seem like he was really at peace with where he was in his career.
Yeah.
He had an SEC job, and Ole Miss was rolling, and that's just so counter to him jumping ship to a place like Florida that has gone through 5 head coaches in 12 years. Like it doesn't totally align. Like I don't know if you really want to be happier than happy. And a time in college football, quite frankly, Hunt, and you and I have discussed this, logo has never mattered less in college football. Like, I understand Florida probably has more resources than a Florida or than an Ole Miss does, but I don't know that that's something that Ole Miss can't kind of boss up a little bit for and maybe not match Florida, but be closer in that neighborhood here if you're going to keep him. So I think there's a lot of leverage here for him to get more out of Ole Miss, and from a contract perspective, sure, but a resource perspective, even more so. I don't know. It smells a touch funny. Now, if you can get him, if you're Florida, like you do that in a heartbeat, you take him and you roll with it. But I don't know if him leaving makes so much sense. That's the hard part for me.
Biggest Missouri at Vanderbilt game ever? Is that what we're looking at here?
I think so, man. Drink's the guy that I think would make a lot of sense for the Florida job, much to the chagrin of the folks out there in Gainesville. I found out that way on Twitter. They were not at all excited about the idea of him being their next head coach, but neither here nor there. That's going to be awesome, man. How about those? I mean, it's what we said. Logos not mattering. That's a game that's got game day coming to it here in Nashville. And it's not the charity game day that you get whenever it's a quiet week in college football. It's like, no, these are 2 teams with 1 loss and 2 – it's like they're kind of the same team, no? Like 2 scrappy quarterbacks, similar colorway on the jerseys, 2 teams that felt disrespected in the SEC. It'll be fun, man. I like Missouri in that one, but I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think that the winner of that game should feel pretty optimistic about their playoff potential.
All right, last one, home here, Tiger Stadium, Saturday night, LSU and Texas A&M. I watched your video earlier today on your pick, so I kind of know where you're leaning, but you can tell the good people here what you think.
Well, one, I appreciate you watching that. Yeah. That helps keep the light on for me here over at home base. Listen, it's one of those things where I am searching, as someone who picked LSU to win the whole thing in the preseason, I am searching for a reason to believe again in LSU. And I'm at this point where I don't know what I'm grabbing onto in picking LSU. Like seeing the Vanderbilt front 7, like I said before, was jarring the way they got after Nussmeier. I don't know where the offense comes from. If LSU wins, it's one of those classic Death Valley at nights. We love college football. No idea why LSU won. It doesn't make sense that they won, but they did. They created some turnovers. They got after Marcel Reed. Maybe we see the inspired effort here, Hunt, but it's tough for me right now to predict the game based on inspired effort against that A&M personnel and the way they're rolling. So I will happily be wrong on this one. I will write songs about me being wrong on this one in an affectionate manner, rather. But I think that A&M wins this one in Death Valley.
We shall see. Aggies 2.5-point favorites, 6:30 kickoff, ABC. We'll talk about it next week. Thanks, JD.
Appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too. JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Find him wherever you find your podcasts, and on 3's YouTube channel as well. We will step aside when we come back. New power rankings. We'll see where the Tigers land next.
The The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at Genesis of Baton Rouge, and every new purchase at Genesis of Baton Rouge comes with America's best warranty. You get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty, bumper to bumper. The peace of mind that gives you when you drive off the lot is just second to none. It's industry leading. When you talk about enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance, they got it. 5 years and unlimited miles. And then obviously the valet complimentary maintenance is awesome. 3 years, 36,000 miles. You don't want to do that maintenance yourself. You don't want to drive in to do it. You just let them come to you and they'll bring it right back to you when that maintenance is done. It's all part of the experience at Genesis. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. Check out the entire inventory online. Go by and see him airline at PQ. GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools every single Wednesday. Right now is a really good time to have the conversation about the design of your pool. It's a time where a lot of folks aren't thinking about that, so there may be more available schedule from the folks over at Renaissance. And it's a great time to start the process so you don't have to rush to make sure that you get into that pool for next spring and summer. So contact my guy, Joey Blanchard, and just start that conversation. Start that customization. You can call them at 225-252-7745. Again, that's 225-252-7745. They're happy to answer the phone, happy to sit down with you, happy to start the process of getting into that pool. And as he said, it all depends on the weather. All depends on, when you get into the winter months and things are a little cold, doesn't dry out as much, things can take a little bit longer. But if you're looking to get in that pool for the spring and the summer, you can start that conversation now and make sure that by the time it gets nice and hot around here again, that you are all wrapped up. The website's builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. Renaissance Homes and Pools, they bring you our Wednesday shows. All right, SEC football power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I moved Alabama back up. A&M was the top spot last week. They did not play. Alabama gets the win over Tennessee, a game they kind of dominated. Simpson's the Heisman frontrunner right now, and I thought they really did a good job of slowing down Joey Aguilar with Tennessee. So right now, I got the Tide back up at the top.
Texas A&M!
Move the Aggies down one spot. 17th in the country in total offense, 37th in the country in total defense, so a good balance there. Marcel Reed, second in the SEC in terms of yards per play on total offense. A&M can beat you a lot of different ways. We're going to talk about them a lot over the next 2 days, but the Aggies, right now, I've got them as the second-best team in the league.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Leave Georgia right there after that win by one score over Ole Miss. Gunnar Stockton was great against Ole Miss. The defense is only 7th in the SEC in scoring defense. That just feels weird to me, but they've got playmakers. They've got a quarterback who can make plays, and they've won 2 shootouts against good football teams in Tennessee and Ole Miss. So I leave Georgia right there at number 3.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
I didn't move Ole Miss back any. Now, they play Oklahoma this week, so that could be a mover here. But they were up 9 in the third quarter at Georgia. They beat LSU. I think it's a good team. Their defense is 12th in the SEC in scoring. That's a bit of a concern. We know the run defense can be a concern as well. Their defense has issues, no doubt. And they gave up 40 to Georgia and lost the game. But their offense is very good. Their team is good. I still got them at 4.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
These two teams play each other. Oklahoma at number 5 here. Second in the nation in scoring defense, 9.4 points per game. They are tied for the nation's sack lead. It's just a ferocious defense under Brent Venables. You knew that day would come. Still getting Mateer back, easing Mateer back in. I'm not going to give him a ton of credit for the South Carolina win, but we'll see what they do against Ole Miss in Norman. That could move them up at their 5th right now.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Move Vandy up to 6 here after the win over LSU. Look, they looked pretty good against Alabama and LSU offensively. They moved the football in both of those games. They're the best in the country on third downs. Their defense is scrappy. It's a good football team. I move them up 3 spots here to number 6. I don't think they're the best team. I don't think they're going to win the SEC. Do I think they can make the playoff? I think they could.
The Missouri Tigers.
They play Missouri this week. 4-5 play, 6-7 play. Missouri backs up one spot to move Vanderbilt up. Their best win of the year is Auburn, so that's not super awesome, and it was in overtime. Their next 2 weeks are at Vanderbilt and then Texas A&M. We'll know more about Missouri then, but right now Eli Drinkwitz's team's in a good position. I'll leave him right there at number 7.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee at 8. They moved back one spot this week. They can't beat Goliath. They can't beat Georgia at home. They can't go to Tuscaloosa and win. They're good. They handle their business. They won 10 games last year. They might win 10 games this year. I don't think they will, but they might. They've lost 2 games. Can they win out? They could, but they're not great. And we'll see what they do down the stretch. I've got them right there at the midway point at 8.
The LSU Tigers.
This could be ambitious, but there are significant flaws the rest of the way here. Significant flaws the rest of the way. So you kind of pick your spots. I've got LSU at 9. I still think the defense, when healthy, is decent. I think the quarterback's decent. Decent's about as good as I can go here. I've got LSU at 9, back one spot after the loss to Vanderbilt. It's only a 1-score loss to a pretty good team that's in the top 10 now, but I got them at 9.
The Texas Longhorns.
I mean, maybe Texas is better than LSU, but maybe Texas goes to Kentucky and can't score any points. Their offense is atrocious. They're averaging 285 yards a game and 16 points a game against the Power 5. That's just anemic. Their passing offense stinks. The defense is good, but there's huge flaws. LSU's got huge flaws. Texas has huge flaws. Let's go to number 11.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
I moved Arkansas up 3 spots here. They got huge flaws too, but at least they can score. They're 17th in the country in scoring offense. They're 4th in the country in total offense. They just can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop anything. Petrino, Taylon Green, that's really fun. They're awful on defense. This is Jaden Daniels and LSU from 2 years ago on the light version. So Arkansas does move up after losing, but everybody back here has got flaws.
The Florida Gators.
Fortunate to beat Mississippi State at home. DJ Lagway looks really average. They fired Billy Napier. Their defensive front is good, and I think Jaden Ball at running back is good, but there are a lot of things that aren't very good, and that's why they've fired the coach. So Florida's there at 12.
The Auburn Tigers.
I back Auburn up one spot to 13. Their scoring offense is 13th in the SEC. Their total offense is 15th in the SEC. Their passing offense is 16th in the SEC. And that's all with 2 studs at wide receiver. Jackson Arnold is not the answer. He was not at Oklahoma. He's not at Auburn. They're not very good. They play close games, but they never win them. So I can't move Auburn up. I've got them at 13.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Got Mississippi State at 14th. Jess Levy's now 0-11 in the SEC. State has lost 15 SEC games in a row. They back up one spot to number 14. They're okay on offense. They're bad on defense, but not as bad as they were last year. That gets you to the 14 spot.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina has no offensive line whatsoever. Second most sacks allowed in the nation to this point. Incidentally, Auburn leads the nation in sacks allowed. But they're not good on defense either. We saw this team. They're bad, and they sit right there at number 15. No move for South Carolina.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky close, but no cigar. Played close against Texas, but you lost. It's hoop season in Lexington. I think Mark Pope's a pretty good basketball coach, so that's what they got going for him. But football, they don't have anything going for them. They're very, very bad. So that's a look at 1 through 16. I got Alabama 1, Texas A&M 2, Georgia Bulldogs at 3, Ole Miss at 4. They play Oklahoma this week. The Sooners are 5. Vanderbilt 6. They play Missouri this week, who is 7. Tennessee at 8. LSU at 9. Texas at 10. Arkansas at 11. Florida Gators at 12. Auburn at 13. And Mississippi State at 14. South Carolina at 15. And the bottom is the Kentucky Wildcats at 16. All right, Jordan, here's my only hope.
Yes.
You look at my power rankings, which obviously are excellently done, perfectly researched.
I actually think they're really good. I think they're actually really good.
I think LSU may be generously seated there, but we'll see. But here's who A&M has played this year. They've played Mississippi State, who's 14th.
Yuck.
They've played Auburn, who's 13th.
Yuck.
They've played Florida, who's 12th. They've played Arkansas, who is 11th.
Yuck.
So that's A&M's 4-0 in SEC play.
Yes.
14, 13, 12, 11.
Yeah. It's not impressive.
But what do they have left? They've got LSU at 9 and Texas at 10. Those are the next 2.
Okay.
And then they've got Missouri, who I've got up there at 7. And then the other one for Texas A&M is – who else does A&M play? Texas, LSU, Missouri.
Might have said, hold on. We got the internet.
It's not Tennessee. I don't think it's Oklahoma.
I had the schedule up. South Carolina.
15th.
Yeah.
So based on my That is right. Based on my power rankings for this week, Texas A&M's SEC schedule does not include 1 Alabama, does not include 3 Georgia, does not include 4 Ole Miss, does not include 5 Oklahoma, does not include 6 Vanderbilt.
That's funny. We got to say that.
That's crazy to me. Let's just take the hyperbole and the tongue-in-cheek nature of this conversation out.
Yes.
Even if I'm not right, I'm not wildly off here. A&M is going to avoid the entire top half of the league. That's incredible fortune.
Well, also, I will say, LSU is supposed to be a lot better.
So is Texas.
Supposed to, Texas, those are supposed to be two
We
of
thought
the
South
top
Carolina
5.
might be good. Hugh Freeze in year 3.
Yeah. But, I will take their schedule over
Holy
Texas.
cow.
I feel like Texas plays nobody. Feels like
You
Texas
can't do
never
any
plays
better than
nobody.
this based on my metric. Their SEC schedule is going to be 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9,
Yeah.
and 7. That is wild.
We're going to learn a lot about them. We're going to learn a lot.
Holy cow.
Especially down the stretch. And also, the game you mentioned that I feel like we're going to learn a lot about both teams, the Missouri-Vanderbilt game.
Yeah.
We're going to learn a lot about both those teams. That's what I'm very excited for. But no, man, and look, we're going to learn about A&M. A&M, they're the bad news bears. Like, I'm just waiting for that. They're just waiting.
Everybody's waiting. Taylor Sharp's waiting.
I'm
Everybody's waiting. I'm sick of waiting.
Yes.
They need to lose and lose now. Unfortunately, LSU has no players healthy, so that doesn't help, and they're not playing worth the crap.
Yeah, you can't run the ball. You can't pass block. You kind of you're just banking on Death Valley at night at this point. That's really all you got going for you. And then you just said it might be a rainstorm, and you have people telling you they're not going to show up.
It's probably hunting season. I don't know when hunting season is. I'm not going to learn when hunting season is. I don't care when hunting season is. I'm not going hunting. But there are people that love to go hunting, and they know when hunting season is, and it may have already started, and they may go hunting. So I don't know. Who knows? But I'm so...
There's no positive outlook, yes.
I'm so frustrated that Texas A&M is 7-0. That drives me insane. So let's take a time out so I can stew on that, and then we'll come back and close out the show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
If you don't want to think about football and you'd rather think about golf, then you can go to Swing Easy Golf Club, and that sounds great. Golf sounds fun. You go in, you get in one of those bays. They've got 3 of them there. It's climate controlled. Technology's great. You can work on your game. You can socialize with friends. Crack open a cold beer or 3. Give a glass of wine, a seltzer. Put that simulator on Pebble Beach. Put that simulator on Bethpage Black. Put it on TPC New Orleans if you've played there. They play a pretty big golf tournament every April over in Georgia. You can put that course on too. And have some fun. Because you don't have to worry about football when you do that. It's Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Seagan, right there at Perkins. You can get a tee time. You can get a membership. And if you got a membership, you get 7+ hours for free every single month. You can do one corporately that you can have for your clients to entertain. It's a great space. It's a lot of fun. You can play some golf. You don't have to worry about the rain. You don't have to worry about the heat. You don't have to worry about it getting dark early. You can just hit some golf shots into the simulator, have some fun with your friends. It's Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Seagan at Perkins. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
On tomorrow's show, we'll go to College Station, get a preview of the Aggies. Talk to Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers as well. We'll talk to Luke Johnson from Saints camp, start to preview Saints as they welcome the Bucs into the Dome for a late afternoon kick on Sunday, 3:05 start time from the Dome. Curious what the tickets are costing for that one. I'm going to take a look at that on SeatGeek, see how that market's looking at this point, because obviously apathy setting in a little bit with some of the Saints fans. Then you feel like you got a team coming in that's pretty dadgum good that you might not want to watch your team instantly lose for. I feel like there are going to be some secondary marking cheapies on, and there may be for LSU and Texas A&M as well. Remains to be seen at this point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I guess looking forward to tomorrow's show. For this show, just got one more order of business. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Perfect for tailgating. If you're getting to pick up some materials for the Saturday tailgate or for Sunday to watch the Hoodats, Flight by Yingling is always a great option. You're talking about 95 calories, talking about 2.6 carbs, talking about that flavor that you're looking for in a light beer. It is crisp. It is refreshing. It is delicious. I love it. My fridge is full of them at this very moment. It's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, let's start this one off with a Chalmette High alum. Knicks center Mitchell Robinson is out tonight for the season opener. The reasoning is load management. Take it or leave it.
That's not right.
Yeah. Take it or leave it. Load managing in the first game of the season.
I'm going to leave it.
Leave it alone.
There has been no load to manage.
Literally.
There's not a load.
He's on the injury report
managed.
for load management for game 1 of the season.
I'm going to need some color on that. I don't. That just seems impossible.
Hey, look, I got you.
Is there a game tomorrow?
No. Today.
Well.
Today against the 76ers, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Mitchell Robinson's out today with load management.
Pushed it a little too hard in the exhibition games? Pushed a little bit hard in the practice?
I just don't understand.
Is he hungover? What?
He might be. Look, when you're tall like that, it takes a lot. So he might just be a little dizzy, standing up too fast or something in that nature. But no, I couldn't believe it, so I had to bring it to your attention. Load management in game number 1. Never seen that before.
By the way, I'm pro load management. Whatever you got to do to win a championship. I don't care about paying customers that paid to see this guy when they came to the game. Nope, trying to win a championship. So I get it. It's an entertainment product. Money comes from the fans. I get the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to win a championship. So if I need a couple days off, need a couple days off.
Well, game number 1, we haven't even broke a sweat yet.
I would agree.
I said, okay, so this is when we're going to get a little spicy here. Russell Wilson and Sean Payton are back in the news, and they are at war. Payton said post-game after the Giants game, they found a little spark with the quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer, the owner of the Giants, not too long ago, and I said we are hoping that they would have made a change at quarterback long after our game. Wilson responded on Twitter last night, quote, classless, but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15-plus years later through the media. Hashtag let's ride. Did Sean Payton take a shot at Russ? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. He absolutely did. That was a shot. It's unnecessary, but guys have egos, and it just doesn't seem to serve Sean Payton to say that. But that's just the way he's generally carried himself. And Russ doesn't need to fire back either. You just carry on. You've made a lot of cash and won a Super Bowl, and it's going to be just fine. You don't have to get the respect of Sean Payton. I know things didn't go super awesome in the Mile High City there. It's just immaturity there, and it's something that you saw if you watch the Cowboys documentary of guys that just can't help themselves. And I'm not wired that way. I don't know why they feel the need to do that, but yeah, it was just an unnecessary shot by Payton that didn't necessarily need to be fired.
It's crazy. I will say this. I would have never expected Russell Wilson to fire back, though.
Yeah.
That's where I'm surprised at. I can see Sean. We know how Sean Payton get.
I do.
But the fact Russell Wilson responded and then, called a little bit of bounty gate. Hey, slow down, Russ. You had to put us in there, too. So that's all for take it or leave it today.
That's it for a little take it or leave it. Yesterday, you were feeling good about the Pels. We still feeling good about the Pels?
Of course. And I'm pretty sure the line is like 4.5 Grizzlies. I'm smashing that all day. All day. Take it.
Where's this confidence coming from?
Oh, listen. I'm confident because, one,
because they haven't played a game yet?
A little bit. It's a little bit of that delusion. You got to have – I've been drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
Okay.
But at the same time, man, Zion, he's got to play. Money's on the line. He's got to play. He's healthy. You got Trey Murphy, who's looking to have a breakout year. If it's now, then it's never. That's how I feel. If it's now, then it's never. If it's not going to happen tonight, it's never going to happen. So that's why I'm feeling confident.
I think that may be a little ambitious for the first game of an 82-game season.
Well, because I didn't see the wheels fall off fast. So it's either now or never. It can go bad real fast.
All right. We'll see. Pelicans tonight. I may mention that on tomorrow's show, but looking forward to the show tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked a little bit about LSU and their injury situation. Talked a little bit about the offensive line situation. Find all that at Hunt on LSU. Talked a lot about the Saints rookies and where those guys are midway through their first season. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Talked a little Tony Vitello leaving Knoxville. If you missed that today and the news was finalized, he is headed to the Giants. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, with a Thursday edition. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.